So yeah, we're gonna start. We don't have anyone outside, and first and foremost, we want to say thank you guys for taking the time to come out with our quarterly updates for PGV. Dana here is going to help us out. We have a couple of slides, just minor stuff, but this is our agenda for today. I'm going to do the intro. Zach Adachi, who's the operations manager in the back, he's going to provide an update of the power plant facility. And after Zach, we'll have Kevin Walchin from Hawaiian Electric. He's going to provide an update from Hawaiian Electric. And we have Jennifer Myers here. Thanks for coming, Jennifer. Douglas Lay could not make it this time. So thank you for filling in. So, then we'll have a Q&A session. We received several questions ahead of time. I know Dave sent some in, Corey. I think, Corey, you sent some from Paul, Kai Kendall. And there was one or two others if those folks show up. But anyway, we'll have it to share at the end. And then beyond those questions, if there's any other questions, we'll be here. So just some quick guidelines. We'll do the updates first, the Q&A. The ones that we receive in advance, we're going to go over that first. And we have, we can put it online or up on the screen.
We'll have it on the screen.
Yeah, we'll have it on the screen also. So this is the first in-person meeting that we've had in some time. So in the back there, we have our recorder, Taylor. Say hi, Taylor.
Hi.
She's recording this, so we're going to upload the meeting to our website, the same website that you go to, Corey. Right there, punageothermalproject.com. Okay, feedback. Okay, I mentioned this. We're going to submit, you can submit questions ahead. So typically, unless something changes, our quarterly meetings will be held on the second Wednesday of the first month of every quarter. So the next one will be the second Wednesday. So October 12th. Welcome. And before I just begin on the opening remarks, if anyone hasn't, please sign in. And part of that is one of the questions we received. I think Corey asked about email notifications. So if you are interested in being notified via email, please sign in. Opening remarks. Again, first time in person. Appreciate everyone coming out. A lot of activity, a lot of updates I think we have. Looking forward to talking story with everyone. And again, we really appreciate everybody taking the time to come in and meet with us. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Zach. And Corey, his name is Adachi. There's no H. Okay. Adachi. Yeah, we misspelled it. Yeah, it was our bad. Zach?
Yeah.
Yep. Skip over a little.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Pretty short PGV update tonight. Currently, we have all 11 of our units available. We have 9 online, 2 in standby. Other than that, we're putting out a daily average anywhere from 25.5 to 27.5 megawatts. And we continue just doing regular preventative maintenance, trying to keep everything we got available and ready to go in case we need it. And that's it. That's all I have from PGV. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Kevin?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing us the time to come and speak to you folks. Thanks to Mike folks for including us. So for our update, from the utility side, all of us have been seeing how fuel has been impacting all of our lives over the last 6 months. The increase in fuel, the increase in cost. So our energy is exception to that. For us, when we look at the overall electric rates, we're always trying to figure out a way to kind of lower that rate. We know as our responsibility for you folks is you guys count on us to be there when you guys flip your switch, right? You guys want us to be there every time you guys turn on the lights or go to use your stove or wash your clothes or use water in some cases. So we take that very seriously, and we also look at the other portion of that, which is the cost. So that's why for us, when we see the PGV amended agreement, it's very important to us because fuel, and as all you guys know and we know as well, has been impacting us, right? It's been a high cost. So with that amended PPA, anytime you can get renewable energy that is not linked to fossil fuels, not tied to that avoided cost, or what we call avoided cost, or just tied to fuel itself, it's an important part for us. So that amended agreement is very important, and that's why we supported that agreement with PGV to continue. By getting these contracts that's not tied to avoided costs, it then helps us to stabilize electricity or energy for all our customers. One of the other things that we kind of wanted to mention, and that's why we have a team here tonight, is we also want to help customers lower their energy usage. You lower your energy usage, you lower your bill. So our team that's here tonight will be on the side, ready to help and discuss with you options and opportunities that you might be able to take advantage of to help reduce your energy usage. And we also partner with Hawaii Energy, who also comes up with that energy efficiency tips and energy reductions. So please take the opportunity after this to meet with our team, and they can kind of talk you through. And we also have books on hurricane, because we're in hurricane season, another big topic for us. And that's my update.
Thanks, Kevin. Jennifer.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I know you guys were expecting Douglas. I'm going to sit for this one. It's been a long couple of days. Was anyone here at the Revitalize Puna event last night? Yeah, we had. Right? We should have led with that.
We live off-grid.
I'm sorry?
We live off-grid. I didn't know we had the power outage.
Oh, I am so sorry to hear that. What would be a great way for us to get in contact with people who are off-grid? That's one of the things that...
Well, we don't need you guys.
Okay. Well...
And then the last workshop I went to is community input, community input,
Right.
input, community input. And we told them we don't want that toxic geothermal there. I live a mile from that plant. Puna Triangle, Highway 137, 130, and 132. There's 59,000 people that live there that have no way out.
What's
You
your
guys
name?
looking at that end yet?
Excuse me, sir. What's your name, please?
Rocky,
Rocky,
Ishibashi.
so
I worked
she-
for the state 30 years.
Okay, Rocky. Jennifer's here to talk about the county update, not about PGB. If you have PGB concerns and questions, we'll get to them.
Well, you guys are going the wrong direction about our safety here. Talk
We're
about
going
our
to get an
safety
update from the county first.
and the safety from the county, protecting us. I live a mile from that time bomb.
She's with the recovery team that Douglas Lay is.
Okay,
Pardon.
it has nothing to do with the...
Not with safety.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah, I'm...
So you're going to open up Highway 137 to have a third
I've-
evacuation route?
I've got updates on that. We're absolutely going to be talking about that because that's something that's important to us as well, and that's something that we're really trying to work towards. So I'm going to start with the voluntary housing buyout program. For those of you who are unaware, we have our phase 3 coming up. Applications begin on Monday, which is July 18th.
Why do you need that, by the way? Why do you have to buy out people? Why? Explain that.
Please give her the respect.
So,
Let her finish, and then we can ask questions.
thank you so much. So this program enables folks who were impacted by the Kilauea eruption in 2018. It allows them to get some of the loss back. These people were inundated by the volcano. These are people that would not be able to sell their lands, certainly not for the money that we're offering many of them. So this is giving them an opportunity to really bounce back after such tragedy. We just closed on 5 of our first accounts, and I spoke personally with many of them, and these were people who lost their primary residences, where this was a really tough situation for them, and having this money from the county made a huge difference. One of them has a medically fragile son who needed this money to help rebound.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
my
is
sister, but is it FEMA money you're doling out?
so this is HUD money. This
so
is HUD money.
federal.
This is federal HUD money that's basically been earmarked for housing purposes, so we have to use it for housing purposes. If we go outside of that, we end up getting into a spot where we could not only lose that funding, but funding for everything else. So we have to be extremely careful with these kind of funds. So once again, phase 3 starts on Monday, July 18th. You can find all the information on the website, where to apply, how to apply, the process from basically application to payout to help folks walk through it. And we're going to be posting videos as well, just to take one more step to try to make sure people know the entire process from point A to point B. Roads and water update. Great news on this. Our environmental assessment teams were working really hard out there getting the environmental assessment portion that is the archaeological portion of it finished. It took them about 6 weeks. We are still on schedule to have the entirety of the environmental assessment finished in January. That still puts us on track for the rest of the process that has to come through when it comes to the roads. That includes the roadways that the gentleman before was mentioning. These are all on track. The money that we've received for this project, these are all monies that have to be very, very, very consciously spent. We have to follow all the procedures for this or else we lose these monies. So we have to go through this environmental assessment process, we have to go through procurement processes, we have to go through design processes, all of these things that have to be done carefully, because if we don't do them in the proper order, in the proper way, and with FEMA approval for all of this, we could lose all of that money. And the last thing we would want to do is be back on square one. So we're being very conscious about the choices that we're making there. In terms of finishing, in terms of construction, all the dates that everybody wants to know, we are still on track for the dates that we initially released. The graph that continues to kind of explain all of the different stages that we're going to be, that's on our website, and that continues to be on schedule for that.
Initially, the top of Poiki was supposed to be open like 2 years ago. And then instead, they work on the bottom of Poiki, which doesn't need work on it. There's already a water pipe that goes down Poiki Road. And so they haven't, and we have the questions. Okay, sure.
And I will do my best to answer those when we get
Yeah,
to
but
it.
you said that's the original timeline. That's not the original timeline. The original timeline is just to drive here. It used to take 7 minutes to drive here. I know.
Our respect for our community. We have none here. Nobody here is giving us any respect or listening to our community
Rocky,
input.
listen, the fact that we're having a community meeting to give you guys updates is our respect for you guys.
No.
We didn't have to do
You
this.
didn't hear what she said about the passing, the archaeological side? No way we can pass.
Let
No
her
way they
finish.
pass.
Let her finish her
No
presentation.
way they're gonna pass.
And she'll be happy to discuss any concerns or any misunderstanding or misinformation that maybe is out there.
And those teams did spend 6 weeks on that, on those survey sites. So they've been working through that, and they'll be releasing that information when they're finished with their report. And when that happens, of course, we'll be in touch with the community for it. So my next update will be about Isaac Holly Park. It's good to know that we submitted the plan in April to FEMA. That continues to be with partnerships from all sorts of people from the community that we're talking to in terms of, we're trying to listen to folks in terms of what do they want at that site now that we're putting money into it. So we've done things like invest in administration buildings, an 80-foot pavilion, additional park paths, and investing in a boat wash as well. So these are all the things that are in the finalized park plan that we revealed last night. For those of you who were at the event for Revitalize Puna, we were really happy to see the progress on that. So we're excited about that. And then, of course, the Revitalize Puna update for last night's event. We had a great turnout. It was over 100 folks, talking story with all the county officials. We had the mayor that was there talking with folks. The director of the planning department was there. Probably at least 15 to 20 folks from the county there to talk story with people and answer questions and really connect with folks and make sure that they had all the answers to the questions, or at least we really did try to do our best with that. So thank you for all of you who did come to that. We really appreciate your time on that. So that's the latest update from me. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Would you like me to stay?
No,
Oh, you would like my microphone, which makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going through a Q&A. And for those of you who have comments on what's been said so far, we're going to have time. We're not going to leave right after this. We're going to be around. Halko's going to be here. Jennifer will be here. The PGV folks will be here. So what we want to do is for those who sent in their questions ahead of time is go through those first.
That's not what that says, though. It says to give all participants the opportunity, we'll take one question per person. It doesn't say in order to give the participants who emailed in questions.
Read the last sentence.
Okay. Will be read aloud at this time, but it
Yes.
doesn't say that it's going to be
Okay, so we'll fix that for the next
Before-
meeting.
before the rest or whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
If you had participated in our virtual meetings, that's what we do. We go through the ones that were submitted ahead of time, and then we go throughout all of the participants, one question at a time.
Okay.
So this first two questions we received from Dave Kaiser. And Dave, you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave. So Dave's question, the first question is, are you performing proper preventative maintenance on your emergency steam relief system so they won't stick in the open position as several did on the afternoon of 7 August 2014? That was the night of Isao, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you for that question.
Another earthquake coming, hurricane coming.
So, yes, Dave, PGV performs all scheduled preventive maintenance on our ESRF system, ESRF, Emergency Steam Relief Facility, like you said, right?
And have you had been performing proper preventative maintenance, how come they failed?
So you talking about 2014?
Yes.
So none of those valves failed at the ESRF. What had happened during the night of Isao was another relief, not ESRF. We had a malfunction on that valve that didn't close. So you have your information kind of mixed up there.
It failed.
All I was told was valves.
It failed.
Excuse me?
All I was told was.
Well, so that means not everything runs through the emergency relief response system.
Correct.
Some shit can just go out any other way.
There's various systems, correct. There's protection in all areas of the facility.
Except
The
for that
emergency
night.
steam release facility worked like it was supposed to, okay? So, and we do continue to do the preventive maintenance. Rocky, take it easy, all right? Please be respectful. Let me answer the question that Dave proposed. We can get to you, I guarantee you. So, just to confirm, the ESRS valve did not stick open. It was a different valve that stuck open. Okay? Second question from Dave. I'd heard it said there are too many spread all over the facility. So we kind of alluded to different systems throughout the facility. And you're asking, are they set up in zones so that they can be checked zone at a time? So you may call it zone, but we call it systems. There's steam, there's brine, there's air, there's electrical. So you can kind of relate zones to systems. That's how we classify the different areas. And then you mentioned that you had to hunt down points with a GPS in the field in terrain considerably more complex and hostile than your facility. So I guess that's just a comment, it's not a question. Thank you. So I'm not sure where you heard this information from someone from PGV?
I don't remember, it's been so long.
Okay,
Those,
okay. Anyway,
So you're
I
still
explained.
talking monitoring devices, or what are they talking about that's spread all over the facility in zones?
That's Dave.
valves.
He doesn't
Valves,
remember, yeah.
Emergency
It was-
response valves or release valves?
Any kind.
Okay, valves.
Valves in general.
I see.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Adam sent in a question. Is Adam here? Okay, great. Let me see. We'll answer Adam's question because we're going to be recorded. Adam will have the opportunity to review the recording. So Adam's question, why do you think it's okay to operate a geothermal plant in a residential neighborhood without evacuation roads? So my my response is that the roads that are available for residents in the neighborhood to commute to and from their residences are the roads that will be used for evacuation.
You're not enough.
Yep,
It
they
used to
covered
take us
with
7
lava and
minutes.
we
It
didn't
takes
never
us
get our
45
roads
minutes
back.
now.
I understand that. I understand that.
We will not make it.
When you have a release, depending on which way the wind blows, you gotta figure out which direction you're going. You're going Wawa or you're gonna go Kalapana.
Okay.
I live on the north side, so if I'm getting south wind, I gotta go Kalapana to be safe. And there is no road
I
there.
can't get to
137 is-
Kalapana to Poiki
It's
was
covered in
drowning in
lava.
the
Our
chemicals
escape roads are
every
covered in
day.
lava, our neighborhood roads.
No,
It's not
listen to
safe
the
anywhere.
community is what this meeting is.
Right, listen.
We can end the meeting, just shut it down.
No, I mean, if you keep on being disruptive, I'll shut you down. But there's people here, listen, Rocky, there's people here who probably want to hear what we got to talk about. Please be respectful of that.
Go ahead.
We have a bunch of questions we got from Corey and others. Okay, what's the next one?
Just out of curiosity,
Yes, sir.
who is your quality control? Like, so what entity comes in and actually checks all of Ormat's records?
What kind of records are you referring to?
I'm just referring to the individual, whoever signed off about the valve malfunction.
Okay.
Who would be signing off, and obviously there has to be some sort of log as you do maintenance, check-offs. Like, who would be the authority that would look over and do a quality control check, quality assurance
Okay.
to make sure that
I got you. Can you guys keep that in mind to answer? What's your name, sir? What's your
I'm
name?
just a concerned resident.
Concerned resident right here. Okay. We're going to go through the questions that were sent in, and we'll definitely answer that. Yeah. From Corey. Thank you, Corey, for sending those questions ahead of time. You're our number one community member. Let me tell you that. Okay. First question. At all the meetings of the past year, PGV has reported producing about 25 megawatts. I think Zach says somewhere between 25 and 26 today also. So is that what we expected to be producing at this time after the eruption? And the answer is no. We had anticipated to be back to full capacity, 38 megawatts, like at the end of last year. But we're not there yet. So the follow-up question to that, when do you expect to produce 38 megawatts? So currently our estimate is the second quarter of next year, 2023. That's what our current estimates are.
Why does it take so long?
Drilling of new geothermal resources takes time. Yeah. And the results determines how long. So we're drilling a well now, and we'll get to it. But if it's a productive well, then we'll be sooner to 38 than later. If you guys all cross your fingers for us, it might be sooner.
You know which finger we show you, you don't want to see it.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. That's being respectful. I like that.
I'm trying, I have to be, I'm gonna.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that too. So, Corey, number 3, in the past 3 months, how many times has PGV not been producing power? We've been online the entire 3 months, so we haven't gone down. We did a maintenance outage at the end of March, or the beginning or end? Ending of February, yeah? So we had a maintenance outage ending of February and March, but from then until now, we've been producing power.
How long is it?
5 days. So it's normal for a plant like us and other plants on the island to schedule maintenance with Hawaiian Electric, because there's stuff you need to fix and test and
But I
repair.
thought you guys had enough things that anything that was down, you can keep it up, and that way you have this firm power thing going.
So even firm other sources have to go down for maintenance. Yeah, and even if you got to inspect internal components that you can't take offline when it's in
So they
operation.
have to have a backup anyway, just because
Yes.
if an accident or if you gotta shut down
Yes.
for 5 days, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, number 4, in April, Zach, our operations manager, mentioned about 6 OECs, which OEC stands for Ormat Energy Converter, were online, and 2 were for maintenance. Please explain what an OEC is, and why 2 are only for maintenance. So an OEC, Ormat Energy Converter, it utilizes the heat energy from the geothermal resource to generate electricity. We have 10 OECs today, and we have 2 what we call bottoming units. The OECs operate only with the steam from the geothermal resource. The bottoming units uses the liquid or the brine. So in this case, last month when Zach reported, 6 were operating, 2 were under maintenance, and we had 2 that wasn't operating. Number 5, please give a progress report on wells KS5 and KS19. And by the way, the KS stands for Pahoa State. And I'm going to try to explain all the acronyms we use because we did receive a request to explain the acronyms. So KS5, and by the way, KS stands for Pahoa State. It's a designation that the state uses, the LNR and the county, to just designate Pahoa being the location in the state of Hawaii. KS5 is being used as a monitoring well, Corey. So we use that to monitor the resource. And by the way, we can post this on our website, so you don't have to write down everything if you're okay with that. Well, I'll email you the responses since you sent me your questions. So KS5 is being utilized as the monitoring well, and KS19 is the well that we're drilling right now. We're about 2440 feet or so, and that well is going to go down to about 5,000, 6,000 feet. We got about 6 more weeks or so. Yeah. And when we say drilling,
It's the sound we can hear. All surrounding.
Night.
Really loud sound.
where do you live?
Poiki.
Pohoa. It's-
Through Leilani at the bottom.
Yeah. We've been receiving some calls, but yeah, from time to time there could be noises from our location that folks will hear. But what I wanted to explain is the drilling process. If we say we're drilling, it doesn't mean that it's drilling 24/7 for 6 more weeks, because there's breaks. So we go to a certain depth. Like we started off at grade, we went down to 1,000 feet. We stopped, we put casing and cement in there, so there's a break of a week or 2 to set up for the next size hole. We go down to where we're at now, which is 2450 or so, and then we stop, we put the steel casing and we cement that. So the next phase, we're going down to 3,300 feet or so. So that's usually when you'll hear equipment and noises associated.
So we haven't heard nothing yet.
Well, if you haven't heard nothing, then we're doing pretty good because we're at 2,400 feet. Okay. So will KS19 be production? So KS5, we know it's a monitoring well, but KS19, we are targeting for production. And question 7, how many production wells will be needed to produce 46 megawatts anticipated under the new PPA? And for those of you who aren't familiar, PGV currently has a 38 megawatt contract with Hawaiian Electric, and we just submitted a proposal to go to 46 megawatts. And this is what Corey is referring to, how many more production wells? The answer is the same amount of production wells needed to generate today's 38 megawatts will be the same amount needed for the 46 megawatt project. And the reason being is that the new project will consist of 3 new, more modern, efficient generators, and we're going to decommission the 12 units we have today. But because it's newer and more efficient, it'll be able to generate 8 more megawatts to 46. So a couple good things about that we like is that it'll be less rotating equipment, which translates to less noise generation. It'll be less piping, which translates to a reduction in connections for potential emissions. What new permits, reviews will be needed for those wells? So all wells, all development, all geothermal wells require DLNR's approval. They are the primary agency that oversees drilling of geothermal wells in the state. In addition to that, we will also need an approval from the Department of Health, the Air Branch, and we also are required to notify EPA and the county.
How do we get that when they ignore all of our complaints and concerns? APA, the Department of Health, they ignore our concerns getting gas down there. How do we do
Just to the
this?
lowest
They
man.
ignore. They just shut us up, cover us up, nobody answers us, emails go unanswered. If they're supposed to be monitoring it, they're not.
They're not.
They won't come out and do one single reading of our air down there. Been asking since September 29th,
Okay.
2021, every day I've been asking.
I can have a few suggestions of what can be done, so we'll go over that.
Shut it down.
Amen.
When will the environmental impact statement preparation notice come out? So what Corey is referring to is that the amended restated power purchase agreement that was conditionally approved by the PUC on March 16, 2022 requires that PGV perform an environmental review. So what,
Honest one, honest one, honest.
Thank you, Lord.
This is honest.
Hallelujah.
Honest,
Yes.
honest.
is that, you guys clapping?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Woohoo!
Impact statement.
Making some headway here. Nice. We agree on something.
No way that passes.
So what Corey is asking, right, is PGV is performing an EIS. She's asking when will the preparation notice be submitted or to the bulletin, right? And so we are planning to have that submitted either late July of 2022, that's this month, or early August.
Are you gonna test the community members?
Oh, let me go a little bit more on that, Rocky. That was a nice, polite question. So,
Be part of the environment, right?
so chapter Hawaii Revised Statutes 343 requires community input.
Yes, right here.
So that's why I think Corey is asking, when the notice be published? Because then a clock starts. There's 30 days, right, for community input to it.
And then you just shove it down our throats, or you let us, opinions like testing us for mercury levels. I know members of the community.
Listen,
high levels of
every concern that people have,
Does that get in the environmental impact statement?
well,
You'll never hear from me.
listen, whatever,
We just want
no, that's a good question, Rocky. Every question, every concern that comes out in the community meetings will be addressed. Yeah.
We got to test brother, Steiner. He's got
So-
97%.
So if it comes out in late July, Sarah, then by the end of August, we're going to have a community meeting, a public meeting. But from the time that from the time it comes out to the time we have the community meeting is 30 days. Yeah. So
We
within,
can study it and then come up with our concerns.
Oh, yeah.
In the 30 days.
In the 30 days.
And then what happens?
And you started.
so then that will be part of the input
Yes.
at the public meeting.
Right.
So you
And then
submit that.
take that
Yeah.
and do what with it?
So then we have consultants that are performing the environmental impacts study for us. So they'll have all of the concerns and inputs, and then from the EISPN, we'll transition into an EIS draft, a draft EIS. That'll take several months
Yes.
because we got to respond
Right.
to all comments and concerns, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay, and then once the 3-month time is completed, there's going to be another public meeting.
We
Yeah.
get another published notice and then we get.
You get the
another-
draft, there's going to be a
we have
45-day
3 days,
period.
45 days, and then we have another public meeting.
Yes.
But it's like the community has been complaining about this since like 1990.
Yeah, I
You
know, but we
everyone
never-
knows about all this.
Yeah,
So
because
we're
we
not
weren't
listening.
here in 1985 when they were doing the EIS 35 years ago. And
So
now
this
we
is the
finally get a
opportunity.
chance now
This is the opportunity.
to do it.
Exactly.
There's no opportunity in here.
No, well, there is. What I'm learning, Rocky,
We're
is
gonna
we
have
have
to
to
make
fucking,
one.
we have to
We're gonna have
kiss
to make
ass and we
one.
have to follow every little rule and we gotta do it and then we can say, then we can sue them when it doesn't, when they don't address our concerns.
Legit homicide is coming from.
No.
Okay, let's move on.
Good job, good job.
Anyway, did I answer that, Corey?
I just want to add that any comment people make, they
Yeah.
So we make a real specific comment.
Real specific.
grounded in
Evidence.
Respond to it, and if there's a problem with their response, that can be the basis for a legal challenge.
Yeah,
Anywhere along the, it's gonna be months where you have time.
good point. Yeah, we've done something similar through, like, even with the renewal of the federal injection permit, yeah, so.
Yeah,
very similar.
except for they just gave you guys a permit without considering the cumulative effects of anything.
Yeah, how is that possible?
How is that possible?
How are we gonna get anywhere when you're all on Earth, they're teaching? All
Ah.
on Earth, self-regulating.
So far they are, but they're coming down. We're gonna bring them down, Jasmine.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it legally.
Miss, go ahead. Is this in line with the question we were reviewing?
Yeah, I was wondering, what are they testing for? I mean, like,
So we,
what are they doing?
Heavy metals.
so it's an environmental impact study, and it's, huh?
Impact statement, or is it?
Study, it's a study. Then once the study is done, it becomes a statement. Okay, but 343, Hawaii Revised Statutes, has all of the rules, regulations, requirement. And that's what we gotta come, I don't know all the details, but I can follow up, we can get more information on all of that. Well, I think it'll,
Pollution in the.
yeah,
The water and the air.
we'll look at a whole bunch of stuff. And like I said, I'm not real familiar, but it's all encompassing. So you can do an environmental assessment. That's an easier one. Yeah, it takes less time, and you look at less impacts. Yeah, then you have a finding of no significant impact is the result of something. Or maybe you can find significant impacts, and they require you to do an EIS. So we're going to the EIS. This is the big one.
The
Yeah.
current agreement says you have to monitor. You don't.
We'll get to monitoring, Rocky. How about my friend over there?
Okay, I have a question.
What's your name?
Jeff,
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for coming.
so anyhow, you're doing this environmental impact study,
Yes.
and without knowing what the results of the study will produce, you're still going ahead and doing what you're doing. You know, how do you justify that?
Well, PGB, just to give you guys the background, PGB's position was an EIS, an environmental study was not required. That's our position. We went to DLNR, DLNR's position was an environmental study wasn't required. DOH director stated environmental review wasn't required.
They didn't even look at the
Okay,
cumulative effects of
but-
anything.
But Sarah,
Paid off from somebody.
but
And
you're-
like royalties, I
They are
think.
fucking paid off.
anyway, let me finish. So you're familiar with what I'm stating, right? So, but here's what happened. Our proposal at the PUC was being reviewed by the PUC Commission. It was the commission that put the condition on the approval of the amended and restated power purchase agreement to perform environmental review.
Nobody else had the guts.
Amen, yeah, nobody's
No
involved.
one else had the guts.
But it's not required by any regulating body in order for PGB to continue doing business.
Correct.
Okay, so it's,
Yeah. Okay. Okay, where we at now? What number? I'm on number 10 still? Jeez. Never got there yet, huh? Oh, yeah, this is Sarah's favorite one, maybe.
2015, we never got there.
No, it's 2014.
Well, you guys applied in 2014. We didn't ask for it till 2015.
Yeah, so the question number 10, thanks for keeping track for me, Dana. Number 10 is, what is the status for renewal of the air permit, right? So the air permit is actually under consideration for a contested case hearing. And,
When?
oh, you gotta talk to the hearings officer,
Where is the hearings officer?
Honolulu.
Why isn't he here or she here?
Because this is not his
Why
meeting,
didn't they give you the data?
because,
Because he hasn't put out his
Dragon
order
feet
yet,
again.
Rocky. We've been waiting
Oh,
for
dragon
months. The guy's not doing it.
so the status is, we're waiting for the hearings officer to schedule the contested case. So he originally had it scheduled for the week of 25 July. but recently he sent out an order saying, cancel that, he's looking at some things, and he's gonna come back out on when the date will be.
Late August or early September.
That's the latest, yeah. They were asking for availability, so that's the current status.
Right, and the permit expired some years ago, right?
So the permit expired in 2015. We are required to submit an application for a renewal. Is it 90 days, Ron, or 6 months? And we did that. So we submitted our application for renewal on time, 6 months in advance of the expiration. So from that point of the submittal, we went through public meetings that the DOH did and review of everything that's in the renewal. And the department placed what they refer to as a shielded status. What that means is we can operate on the existing permit that was up for renewal until such time that the department makes a decision on the application for the renewal.
Or toxic
But
waste.
what about all the complaints from the community?
I mean, I don't understand how they can even do that. A permit's only good for
We
5
don't have a
years. How do
human
they get a
God-given
fucking
right to
shield
breathe
that goes
in Puna.
forever?
I'm born and raised here, I've
Fresh
never
water,
known clean air,
fresh
doctor.
water, air, and
How are
food.
you guys still operating?
You guys
when
gotta
we
come
are
test my
complaining
food in
that
my
we're
house.
sick?
Yeah.
See if you get toxic waste in my food.
It's
Please
so
come.
crazy.
Environmental
Okay.
This is
air
allowed.
quality.
It's
Let me,
insane.
Come on.
okay, listen, I hear you guys, but let me continue. I hear you, and we're taking notes.
All we can do is let you guys continue. That's all we can fucking
Well,
do.
listen, if we were doing something illegal, the agencies would shut us down.
You guys are,
No,
though.
you
This
should have been
is so
shut down
fucking
years ago.
illegal, Rob.
You guys all got your permits from Governor Ega's emergency declaration. You didn't have to have any public meetings.
Okay.
We didn't know you were getting permission to drill
You're above
20
all
wells.
laws.
Yeah, all
Okay.
that shit happened under a permit, under
Judges
Ega's
are
emergency
claiming, like, come
protection.
on, no one can go. up
Okay, all right, time out. Let me, let's get back on track, please.
Yeah.
On track.
Yeah.
I'm sick, my kid's sick, my dad's dying, you know, all from PGV. So like, this shit needs
And
to
the-
stop.
Okay.
and the laws of
Jasmine,
all-
can I continue, please?
all by
Yeah,
the
thank you.
DEA.
Okay, so now we know we're waiting for the hearings officer, right, Corey? Next question is this is Corey's question, for expansion, is a revised Department of Health air permit required? The answer is yes, because currently our permit allows us to generate up to 41 megawatts nominal, right? But if we want to be at 46, we will need to amend the permit. So we'll have to do that with DOH. And your follow-up question was, will it need PUC approval? And the answer is no. The PUC is separate from the air. Yeah. 13, what drilling is occurring now and what is planned for the next 6 months? So we touched on that, KS19, right? We're at 2450 or so, 2435. So that's KS19. 6 more weeks, hopefully, we'll be done with 19. There'll be a month or two in between, and then we're going to start on a follow-up well. So that'll take us into the next 6 months. And, we'll give updates because we'll continue to have our quarterly meetings. So is the purpose of planned drilling to restore production to existing contract levels or in anticipation of higher production under the proposed amended and restated power purchase agreement? So the purpose of the planned drilling today is to get us back to 38 megawatts. Okay, and so, like I mentioned previously, the resource required to generate 38 megawatts with the facility today will be the same resource needed for the 46 megawatts because we're just switching generators, old stuff for new, more efficient equipment. And I mentioned all this stuff about less rotating equipment, less noise, smaller footprint. 15, is the new equipment being installed the same as it would have been with no eruption? And the answer is yes. We were actually working with Hawaiian Electric on this proposed repowering prior to the eruption. And again, I mentioned the same thing. We're going to decommission the 12 old units and install 3 more modern, efficient units. 17. Will the EIS look only at plant expansion or also at conditions external to PGV, which were changed by the eruption? Now, probably along the lines of your question over there, ma'am. And so we will look at all of the requirements under Hawaii Revised Statute, Chapter 343. And again, it is the highest level of environmental review for the state. What is the current price per kilowatt hour under the existing PPA? For PGV, we actually have like 4 levels of energy rates. We have some portion that's still connected to oil or avoided costs, and that price is at 28.5 cents a kilowatt hour. And then we also have another tier that's at 13 cents, and another tier at 9 cents per kilowatt hour, and the lowest tier is 6 cents. So we have an agreement with Hawaiian Electric to just bypass the 9 cents and just go to 6 cents. So it's avoided costs, 13 cents and 6 cents.
Oh, it says 10 cents up there.
So, but that 10 cents was my average. You see that average at the end? So it's the average of 13, 10, and 6. Yeah. I explained more than what I have up there. Okay, so 19, I was going to ask Kevin to help out. Corey's asking, what is the price per kilowatt hour for existing solar and wind projects?
So right now, the way our contracts work, we have 4 renewable energy contracts, or IPPs, right? And PGV is one of them, right? Pahoa, which is a wind farm in South Point, is another. HRD, which is a wind farm north in Pahoa, is the third. And then we have a hydro, run of the river, along Wailuku River, which is just a hydro plant that we have. So this question is actually hitting.
What about Hamakua?
They're not actually operating it, and they're not even approved.
No, I
so.
wasn't talking about the wood burning, I'm talking about.
Oh, so renewable contracts. Hamakua
Hamakua is listed as renewable sometimes.
only on the biodiesel, you're right. Sorry about that. You're right. Hamakua Energy Partners is a diesel plant with naphtha. So they use diesel to start up the plant. They use naphtha as the running fuel. But they use biodiesel when they can get enough biodiesel for a small percentage as an added renewable energy. So you're right. But they're tied to avoided costs as well. But I was trying to focus mainly on the strictly renewable, which is wind, hydro, and then the third question she had in there, because it's a mix of questions, is PV, right? The PV contracts. So let me hit the IPP contracts first. So for the wind farms, we have one wind farm that is tied straight to avoided costs, the price that Mike had given at 29, he said there, but it's actually 28.5 cents is the avoided cost piece. So tied directly to that. So for every kilowatt hour they generate, it's at 28.5 cents. The other wind plant, they're actually on a different type of avoided cost contract that was negotiated in 2007. And down there's a 40-month rolling average. So what happens is it looks at the previous 40 months and it averages the avoided cost over that 40 months, and that's the price we pay their contract at. So they're at right now somewhere around 15 cents per kilowatt hour, because the rolling average over the last 15 months for avoided cost is 15 cents. Wailuku River Hydro, or the hydro plant, right, along run of the river, that plant is on avoided cost, which is at 28.5 cents. And then when we get to the last question on or last part of your question, which is the solar farms, the most recent, the solar farms came in at 8.8 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's solar with battery. And then the avoided cost one for HEP, I wish I had that at the top of my head, but biodiesel is actually expensive also. So it's not as low as the solar or the 40-month rolling average. And then, sorry, I can't.
But it is a base load. It is a base load source.
Yeah, and it is actually it is actually a renewable source. So when you look at our renewable portfolio, we call that out as a small little because it's biodiesel, right? So it is. So thank you for correcting me.
Hey, I got a question for you. There is a difference between renewable toxic and renewable non-toxic. PGV is toxic. There is no other way to talk about it, but it's
And how is
toxic.
it renewable?
And how is it renewable? It comes out of the ground, but it's
The
toxic.
ground doesn't just.
I'm a commercial fisherman, and I fish right off the point out here.
How is
Okay.
it? Yeah.
They spawn on the summer full moons. That's where all the pollution from PGV goes to the ahi, to the shishimi.
From the coffee.
Right there.
Yeah.
Is anybody testing fish out there? The OPD? Or doing any environmental assessment down
They
in the
refuse to.
ocean?
They
Hey.
My brother's house,
refuse
he
to.
has 95% of
Rocky.
mercury in his blood.
Rocky, so Hawaiian Electric, you know, they take care of the grid and their equipment, so all that environmental stuff.
Maybe they don't know about all this, so it's
But
good
the
for
key
them to
is
know this.
part of the
I mean, how can
failed
they not know
structure
it?
of the electric that's toxic to our community. Recyclable, yes. Oh, yeah, recycle, Electric vehicles got a strip mine. How much toxic stuff out of the ground?
Okay, let's move on, and we'll continue our discussion. Let's move on, get through, you know, appreciation for the folks that sent in their information ahead of time. Now, is this about solar or wind?
It's about what he's talking about.
He was talking about solar and wind.
Well, not solar or wind necessarily, but the wells do have a life expectancy.
What are you talking about? Geothermal wells?
Yeah, the PGV wells.
Okay, yeah, I'm
have a life
PGV.
expectancy.
Yeah,
So, you know, in that sense, it's not renewable unless you just keep drilling more wells.
Yeah,
okay. So let's not get hung up on the definition, you know, but the state energy office considers geothermal renewable. Yes, you got to replace equipment. So, yeah, it could be toxic, but
You
let's,
have a right to know when you work there.
yeah.
We should have a right to know. as a
Oh, no,
community
listen.
what toxic
We
stuff
take it
is.
serious, Rocky, because we don't want, I'm telling you, we
It's
take it
life-threatening
serious.
for me that I live on my
It threatens us too. We are at ground zero. Let's continue this. Let me continue
I don't have
this.
to be there. I
Let's-
don't have to be at ground zero.
Let's,
Nobody has responded. How
Jasmine, you're saying the same thing over and over, and I hear you. And I'm not disregarding you. So let me continue.
Environmental impact
Let me
statement,
please continue.
not a survey.
You have the opportunity to chime in. You have the public comment period. Take that opportunity. Don't miss
They
the
don't
meeting.
listen to me. I've been
I
fighting
do,
Mauna Kea
yeah,
for years.
Then, like Sarah said, if they don't listen, you come back and litigate.
No, you guys pass it.
But
Then
can
guys
you
can
talk to
go
Rocky a little
miles
bit
by
and
miles
share him
with no
some information?
evacuation routes.
I know, honey, we're gonna get a chance to, they have to answer our questions in writing.
Yes.
At the time of the EIS, and until they release it, we don't even know what they're gonna cover.
They can't pass, Sarah.
Well, I know it can't pass, I know, honey, but they still have to do it and try because they invested their
We-
whole, all these 35 years in whatever they
Yeah,
do.
we need to go through the process. So let me finish. Corey, sorry for the delays.
I don't know how to help with this.
Okay, so question number 20. Does the proposed amended and restated power purchase agreement include a must-run provision? So Helco must use a certain amount of power, PGV power, even if less expensive sources are available. So yes, we do have an operational low limitation. It's really predicated on what the equipment can do. So, and that's 20 megawatts. So Hawaiian Electric will have the capability of ramping us up between 20 and 46 megawatts. Okay, so that, if you're saying must run, it's the operational low limit, 20 megawatts. We're building a 46 megawatt power plant, and 20 megawatts is the operational limit. Now, the pricing, if you want to compare it to other pricing, is going to be 7 cents per kilowatt hour, and after a certain amount of delivered energy, it'll be reduced to 4 cents a kilowatt hour. So you can compare that to what Kevin.
That's after the agreed upon amount of generation for more, that's more than 7 cents.
So we have 46 megawatt facility. Once we generate an equivalent to what is 27 megawatts, everything Yeah, everything beyond that is 4 cents a kilowatt hour. It's an incentive.
So before that, it's 7 cents?
7 cents a kilowatt hour. Yes.
Yeah, Mike, I'm just trying to be respectful, and there's already been 22 questions there. There's other people that have questions. How many more questions are there on this?
Well, I appreciate you being respectful, but with all due respect, I mean, the folks that did take the time to submit it ahead of time, I think we should go through that. We're almost through.
Oh,
Yeah. What's your name?
George.
Thank you, George. So you'll get your chance. Yeah.
You just want to know how many were left.
Okay.
What number are we getting?
So we're on 20, 21. There's only 30 more.
30.
Just kidding. 4 more. Only 4 more, seriously. Yeah, we're getting, so 4 more from Corey, and then there's like about 4 or 5 from another resident, yeah, Paul Kuykendall. So let me move on this. So the Puna Geothermal Project website on July 11th reported hydrogen sulfide level of minus 1.0 ppb. What does a what does a minus? Let me finish. What does a minus 1.0 mean? So because this equipment needs to capture levels of hydrogen sulfide in parts per billion, this equipment is very sensitive. It's lab grade type equipment. You can go to the county, police, whatever. They don't have in the parts per billion normally. Yeah? It's parts per million. So the electronics itself is calibrated nightly, but it's not unusual in all instruments to have an offset. So in technical terms, the technicians can refer this as electrical noise or just a variation. So if we don't have any emissions and then you have like a 10, or if you have like a minus 5 or 10, we call our technicians, it's a third-party contract that comes in to fix it.
What if someone's been reporting like every day since September, you guys have green dots here, when I can promise you it's purple? If one person would come out and check our down there and nobody will respond. Nobody.
So,
Everybody's gone. I comment stuff, they block me, they erase my comments,
okay.
emails gone.
Listen.
Like, we just want someone to read our errors.
Yeah, no.
It's not true. And the world is seeing that we're safe
Okay.
down here, and we're not.
We're not.
Good question. Listen, I don't know who you folks are calling to come and check.
I lived there.
Online and stuff, whatever your guys' stuff online or
We'll check.
We called the Department of Health. They sent us to the new guy.
I don't remember. I mean, we can double check if we received anything. I'll give you my number. You tell me you want us to come check. I'll talk to the plant and we'll send people out there.
I mean, today, yeah, it'll be amazing. Every morning, every night, we are permeating.
When you drill it,
Are you downwind of all the fissures?
Yeah.
Okay, the fissures are emitting H2S too.
I'm on Powiki, but it is permeating from Kamaili all the way down Opitau, all the way Powiki.
Yeah. So that could be naturally occurring from the fissures that are there.
No, I'm born and raised here, okay? No.
Okay, hold on then. Let's move on. Let's move on. So did that's our response, Corey. Okay. Who does PGV notify when hydrogen sulfide emissions exceed permitted levels? So we are required to notify the Department of Health, the air branch. Now, that's for exceedances. If we have low-level emissions ahead of any exceedance level, we call civil defense, we call planning department, and we inform DLNR.
Yeah, but we'd be dead by then.
No, listen. The alarm.
It's like fucking miles away.
Okay, but Sarah, listen. Let me explain something. The exceedance level for our plant is 25 parts per billion.
Averaged on an hourly basis.
Hourly basis,
Yeah,
above
so you
ambient.
can
Okay.
gas the shit out of us for like
40
deathly
minutes,
levels,
or, yeah.
and then turn it off, and then it averages out to.
Deathly levels is considered 100,000 parts per billion. Okay. OSHA, you can work in an environment up to 10,000 parts per billion and not needing any safety gear.
That's fine. You guys pay your workers to do that, and you pay them not to tell.
Works where I'm going to get sick, but listen,
Right? But
that's
we
the
have to
levels.
live in it.
That's the levels.
Exactly. We have to live in it.
good day to go home safe at the end of the day. But if you live next to the plant, that's not safe at the end of the day.
I know.
That changed my whole outlook on what
Okay,
you're saying.
okay, I hear you.
Well, you guys
Thanks,
don't
Rocky.
even have a secondary escape route anymore, because you used to go out that little side road and up Pahoa Road. And
Oh, we have-
covered in lava, and they won't even open a mile and a half of road. The damn county is protecting PGV.
We're, listen, we're very serious about safety and our employees, so we're well aware of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's gonna seem like 30 more questions if we digress, okay? Corey. So I let you know who we notify. 23, are county emergency personnel allowed access to PGV during emergencies? Yes, everyone from the county emergency first responders are allowed. And it doesn't have to be an emergency. They can come on site. Any agency, DOH, DLNR, EPA, they don't have to announce. That's up to them. Now, having said that, I know Ron actually takes the fire department and Zach, the police, to go around so that they see where the wells are. In case there's a problem, they know. They get familiar with the location. They look at whatever materials we have, you know, what, like pentane or caustic soda, those types of potential hazardous materials. So, yes, the short answer. They're allowed to come on anytime. Okay, and so question number 24, this has to do, excuse me, with ORMAT annual report from 2021. So I did make a change, yeah, and like I said, I'll share this with you, Corey. I'll send it to you. But down a little bit. So sorry. So I did on the first sentence, following the May 2000 eruption of Kilauea volcano in Hawaii, I lined out the full amount of our insurance claim for damages to our Puna power plant was denied. Since then, most of our insurance claims for damages to our Puna power plant was paid, and the rest remains the same. So there's no change to the other two paragraphs.
Does the customers get a lower rate for that?
Well, I just told you. Listen, I just shared to you what our energy rates.
Does it, do they get a reduced because of that reason as well?
Because of what?
Wait, there's another question you went past, number 24.
No, 24 is all together.
Oh, okay.
But there's no comment.
Read all that and see if it's
Oh, you want to read it?
insurance. Yeah, we gotta see all the different.
Okay. Yeah, business interruption insurance income for the year ended December 31, 2021 was $0.2 million compared to $20 million for the year ended 2020.
Really? So you went from 200,000 to 20 million?
Yes.
And then, so business interruption insurance income for the years ended 2021 and 2022 is attributed to business interruption recovery relating to Puna power plant. So this is online. This is like our reports to the New York Stock Exchange. Is this where you got it, Corey? Our annual reports? Yeah. So anyone can go and look at it. And the last one is the company is still in discussions with insurers related to additional business interruption and property damage payments. Yes, we are still in discussion. Insurance is
Property damage
very, very
payments, woohoo!
expensive. Okay. Corey's last question. Number 25. Is PGV willing to send notices of its community meetings to an email list? So yes, if you want to be on the email list, please sign in. I have your email, Corey, and I have Sarah's. But just so everybody's aware, our meetings at our website, it's every quarter, first month, second Wednesday. Unless something changes, but the best bet for us is to keep it at one localized location at the website. Then everybody can get access to it.
As long as we can have in-person meetings, because I don't have good email connection to do Zoom kind of things without going to somebody else's house.
Yeah, I know. I like in-person meetings. I miss you guys. Why are you?
Where's Richard Hall? I got Peter Sternlich. Where is he?
We don't have the reinforcement. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so that's 25 from Corey. Thank you very much. So Paul sent in some questions. So he was asking about how much pentane we used last year. So each OEC that's in operation uses about 3,000 gallons. Okay, and just to and to operate. So we use 3,000 gallons in a single OEC to generate 3 megawatts. Okay, so this OEC operates on what we call the Rankine cycle. So the heat from the geothermal resource is transferred to the pentane through heat exchangers. The pentane, which is like butane, propane, very similar to unleaded, has a low boiling point. Okay, so what happens is you transfer the heat to the pentane. The pentane in vapor state has energy. With that energy, it goes and turns a turbine that's connected to the generator. So that's how we make electricity. So for each OEC is 3,000 gallons.
Fill it up.
And to use it on a continuous basis. So it's a closed cycle. It's a binary organic Rankine
How
cycle.
much do you keep adding every?
We don't add. We don't
So you
add.
never have, once you got them full?
Once we got them full, with the exception of fugitive emissions, which we'll come to, there's a question from Paul on that. So we have about 60,000 gallons for all 12 units. On average, we usually replenish about 5,000 gallons per year. That's our average, historic. Yeah. So typically, if everything's sealed properly, 3,000 gallons, it goes from liquid, geothermal heat to vapor. Vapor does work. After vapor is cooled back to a liquid, so it's one complete cycle. That's the binary cycle, organic Rankine
The
cycle.
question was, how much did you use last year?
Yeah, so we use 3,000 for each OEC. So if we're running 6 OEC, that's 18,000. We're running the 2 bottoming units, that's about 11,000 each, so that's 22. Yeah. So Paul's next question is, where do the fugitive emissions go? They go to atmosphere.
How come the USGS said you
Making us
injected
sick,
into the
right?
water?
That's what's in there making everyone sick. That's the fugitive
So
emissions.
fugitive emissions is similar to like when you put in gas in your tank and you see the vapors. That's fugitive emissions for pentane. Okay, so it's not going into the water.
USGS says you injected.
No, it doesn't, Sarah.
That's to the first chapter and then throughout.
It says they detected pentane, but they could not conclude it's from PGV, and it could be occurring naturally. I'll go over that paragraph with you.
Yeah, right. No, it says, I could show you 3 times where it says you injected into your wells.
Yeah,
In that
go ahead. Is that what you read, Jasmine?
Yeah, I read it.
Okay, and you too can show me it. I'd like to see it.
You were there, you saw it. I put it up in the last contested case at our.
I'm not on that. I'm not. Our attorney is on that. I'm not on there. You should CC
You
me.
didn't go in there, you didn't watch that?
No, I
You
didn't.
weren't there? Oh, okay.
Okay, almost done. Almost.
Point of clarification.
Yes.
So you're saying that pentane can occur naturally in the situation that the PGV exists in?
Yes. So it can occur naturally in nature, not just at PGV.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii. It could. I mean, I don't know the details, scientific and all that, but that's what USGS report states, not Mike. The report from 2015.
I'll send it to you, I'll highlight.
There we go. Send it to us.
Ms. Bunn has it.
Miss Bun, yes. Okay, who do you report pentane use to and at what intervals? We report to Department of Health on a quarterly basis. Has PGV found pentane or isopropanol in testing of the new water wells? And the answer is no.
What do we know?
Would you tell us?
Yeah, listen, we need, yeah, we would know because we send it to a third-party lab to get it analyzed, and the analysis is then sent to DLNR. That's the requirement. That's how they bird dog us.
Don't trust DNR.
Okay, well, that's a separate meeting,
That they wouldn't come to.
probably.
They're hiding.
They're hiding.
They're hiding, same with the air department.
Okay, next question. We're almost there, gang. Let's go. Push through. Has PGV or its contractors used PFOAs or similar compounds in drilling or plant operations? So we had to look this up because I didn't know what PFOAs were, but we asked our chemists for ORMAT, and the answer is no.
What is that?
Yeah,
Only what?
Polyfluoral alkalides or something like that.
yeah.
Anyway,
Poly.
What are they used
not
for?
filter, usually helps with drilling, sometimes with fracking.
Fracking?
Surfactant. I saw it's called a surfactant, but we don't use that. Yeah. Kevin and the Hawaiian Electric team is there, and I'll stay here if anybody wants to come up and talk some more about PGV.
Well, can't we just ask questions and then you answer them so everybody can hear the answer? Because that's, I hate that splitting up and then nobody hears what we're asking, you know? That's the whole
Okay.
divide and conquer thing, instead of letting us just ask and everybody hear the answer.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I got a question.
Oh, go ahead, Rocky.
How many plants you have down there at the plant, down there? Pahoa?
How many plants?
Yes.
You mean like
Generating
geothermal?
plants.
So I mentioned we have 12 generating units, right? We're going to decommission the 12 and install 3 new ones, more efficient. I stated that a couple times.
They have 2 bottom units that do the brine.
The brine.
And then they got the 10 air
Steam.
things that do the pentane.
The steam units, yeah. Yes, miss. What's your name?
My name's Brooke.
Hi, Brooke. Thank you.
My question is about what research is being done. Is there any research being done about other liquids or solvents other than pentane that could be used that could create steam without having to drill so deep?
So the pentane, there are other replacement. I mean, you can use different grades of pentane. Pentane is a result of the refining of crude oil. When you refine crude oil, you can get all different levels. You can get bunker oil, which is the lowest grade. You can get diesel. Then you can get to vehicle, like unleaded. And then you can get upgrade to aviation, right? And then you have even higher grades. And pentane is in the higher grade level. You know, naphtha is up there. So we use pentane because its properties. It has a low boiling point, 98 degrees, and that way the lower heat content from the geothermal resource can transfer that heat over. But at other facilities, we use different working fluids. Some places use different derivatives like isopentane or cyclopentane.
Is there ongoing research about other
Yeah, we don't use
liquids?
pentane to make the steam.
Yeah,
The heat
yeah.
occurs geothermally.
If that's what you're asking, is that what you're asking?
I'm basically concerned about the depth of the drilling.
Okay, so that's totally geothermal then, no pentane.
And the solvents being used to create steam.
So, okay, good point. The steam is created naturally, okay? For geothermal to be, conventional geothermal to be successful, 3 key elements are needed: heat, water, and permeability, or the ability for this heated water to travel through the rocks. So we go the depths that we go because that's where the permeable zones are and that's where the heated fluids are. Pentane has nothing to do with that. Pentane is just a working fluid at the surface. After we bring up the geothermal resource, we transfer the heat from the resource to the pentane. The pentane doesn't, it just does its own thing. So we go deep, however deep we go, 5,000, 6,000, because that's where the geothermal resource is located.
How's the steam made?
The lava that travels from the volcano down the East Rift Zone is there. The heat is still there, residual heat is still there. Where's the water coming from? The water's coming from rain, the water's coming from the ocean because we're at 800 feet above sea level. We go down to 5,000 feet, so there's lots of seawater that percolates through all the cracks. So the heat from the lava that's still there,
Go down to 8,000 feet.
we've gone as deep as 8,000, yes, you're right.
And into the ocean, that goes into the ocean.
No, the ocean, the ocean,
Water goes into
the
well.
ocean migrates into the area that we're
Yes,
at.
and then it migrates out, right?
Oh.
And the same principle, it migrates out, right?
Only in our well, right?
Yeah, from your well, it goes out. Yes.
So after it comes into our well,
It goes out.
we use the heat and then we reroute it in piping to re-injection wells that goes to the geothermal resource at a different location.
I have a question.
Okay, Jasmine.
So, I have a question about when you look back and you could see the past, all the past stuff of PGV and you look in past reports and theses people have done. There's this one that it was a master thesis for environmental lady, a graduate, and she spoke about she gave a bunch of different, citations of where she was getting her research, and it spoke about how the turbines at PGV are meant for low to medium grade heat when we are on like the most hot spot in the world for geothermal resources.
Mhm.
So, but it was stating that they knew this and they didn't do any adjustments to their reports or their
Oh.
statements back in 1987.
Mhm.
And they never changed anything. And so I'm wondering if those are still those same, we're running something for low to medium grade geothermal heat all these years when
Right.
we're on the hottest hot spot in the world?
Yeah, good question.
And could that be leading to malfunctions with stuff when there's something failing? Or?
So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the HGPA project.
Yeah.
So that project is what the PGV facility was designed around. And that project was all steam, very little brine. So the 10 OECs that we have today, they have a steam turbine there. So it's designed for steam.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
now something new.
So all we did, that was in 1993, we started that up. In 2012, we went from 30 to 38, but that's when we captured the heat from the brine. So the equipment we have is designed for hot steam and lower temperature brine. But it's a saturated system, so whatever steam temperatures that we encounter at the pressure, the brine temperature will be very close to each other. Yeah.
So what are you injecting into the wells? Because you said the pentane stays at the surface.
Yes.
And you said the wells go as deep as into the ocean. So what is the 3,000 gallons or what?
That's all on the surface. The 3,000 gallon never leaves the surface.
So where is it injecting to?
So what's being injected is the geothermal fluids that came up, right? The geothermal fluids that come up has heat in it in the form of steam or hot water. We use that heat to generate electricity. When you take the heat away, it cools down to a cooler liquid, right? The steam will be condensed. We call it condensate. The brine will be cooler fluids. All of that is rerouted through piping to reinjection wells that are separate from where the production wells are. But in the end, underground, they're connected.
So is that water that's going back into the
It's,
wells
it's,
off the steam?
it's the same water that came up.
It's steam and brine, it's brine or null, whatever it is.
So it's
Whatever
typically,
they add to it.
today it's like 70% brine and 30% steam. So we have equipment that uses steam or brine. So the 30% will go to the steam equipment, the 70% to the brine.
That's kind of opposite of what you guys said since the lava. You said that was what you guys had before the lava. And
We
now
had-
Then it was like 80% steam and 20% brine.
It has transitioned. So when we first started up in 93, it was all steam. It was all steam. That's why we only had the 10 steam turbines, right? But as time went on, it transitioned to get more brine, more brine. After the lava, we had an increase in steam, but now we're back to what we were. We're back to what we were before the eruption. So everything that comes up that we find in the resource, we just take the heat out to make electricity. The cooler fluids rerouted to different wells, different areas of the site. And the idea is not to be close to the production zone because it'll cool it off quicker than we'd like to see it. The idea is we'd like to see the cooled fluids migrate back to the hotter zones and then come back up. That's where the renewable definition comes in.
Not from the wells themselves.
Not from the wells, it's just from the earth, just from the heat that's down there. Yeah.
But in order to continue accessing the heat, then you would have to, in theory, in order to continue doing business, you have to continue putting new drills or new wells in every so often in order to get to this resource.
Yeah, so good question. When we first started up at 25 megawatts, we had 5 wells, okay? As time went on, we developed problems with some wells, or maybe the rocks clog up the flow path, so we need new wells. And today, we had 2 production and 3 injection when we first started up. Today, we have 3 production and 5 injection, so 8. So in 1993, we started up with 5 wells, and today we have 8 wells going for 38. So now we're going to get another one. It'll be the 9th well.
So if your drill going down hit rocks, as you said it, could that potentially set up any sort of seismic activity or anything like that? Could that be addressed with your drilling?
Yes, yeah, and we have not noticed any kind of seismic generation from our activities.
How do you know, Mike?
We don't have any monitors.
You know, we
Did
actually,
you keep Catherine Kennedy's borehole network? You guys were leasing it from George, one of the things.
George, she did the work for us.
Yeah,
Listen,
and then you kept the monitors, and have you been keeping the recordings?
no,
since then?
we gave up the monitors. However, we've started up a new seismic array.
Yeah,
How do you monitor seismic activity?
There's equipment that you can install. It's just like the
Do you
bulk.
have equipment installed all throughout, gridded out through the whole?
We have some out here, yeah.
How much do you have, and how do we access where the seismic activity
So
monitors you have
we
are, so we can see what you're able to?
We do this for targeting of the geothermal resource, not for public, but we're able to share it with USGS because they have some monitoring out here, right? But we're just doing it for the facility.
Yeah, no, they don't report anything under 2.5.
Well, and that's what we look for. We look for 0.1s and 0.2s, is micro earthquakes. And so what that's telling us is it's fluid moving, right? So like I said, we need one of the three key elements. Fluid is one. So when fluid moves, you get micro earthquakes. And that is how we like to target for the geothermal
But
resource.
don't you think micro earthquakes after 30 years makes a leak zone over the lava that's pressurized from a volcano 4,000 feet above us?
I don't.
Take its natural path to the ocean, bursts at the well.
You don't think?
No, I
that
don't.
has anything to do with it at all?
I don't. Go ahead, we're finished.
That's why we need the EIS.
Hold. I'm trying to listen to this gentleman.
I'm just curious if you know that it causes these small earthquakes, in your environmental impact study that you're going to present to the public, will there be information on all potential hazards associated
Yes.
with these small earthquakes?
Yes. And let me clarify.
Like,
But-
other type things as well.
But let me clarify, yeah. I don't know that the plant is causing these micro earthquakes. These micro earthquakes occur on themselves naturally. So if I said it, I was incorrect, Rocky, okay?
Right, but still, you're
We
taking
have-
down 6 million gallons over here, and you're
Go.
taking down cold over
It's
here.
the same 6 million that goes back in. But listen, you can go to the USGS website and they have earthquakes on the entire island.
But I'm just talking about in the actual
Yeah, they have no
environmental impact
monitors.
study.
Oh, yeah.
that you're doing.
That'll be a potential hazard, yes.
So it does-
We're good with this.
Okay,
So just clarify, like,
okay. Wait, let me finish this
I
one.
just want to clarify that
Yeah.
the environmental impact study
It will.
include information on potential like landslides or collapses or different things.
I don't know to what extent, but yes, definitely that's a hazard and it'll be, and if it's not under 343, you as a concerned citizen can raise that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike, I've got a couple questions.
Okay.
In a previous discussion, I'm not sure where it was, but someone brought up the fact that PGV is one of the only geothermal plants that doesn't have on-site air monitors. Is that true? That they're either not working or they're far away from the site, that would give us an accurate idea of what's happening?
So we do have air monitoring, and it's set up around the facility, and you can go to our website and have access to look at it.
I'm curious who approved.
All right, let me finish answering this gentleman first.
To know where to find it.
Hold on, Jasmine.
Yeah, and I
Go
have
ahead.
one more question.
Yeah.
I know we're trying to empathize with each other because you have a point of view, many people have a different point
Sure.
of view.
And we respect that.
And ultimately, helping the community is important one way.
Yes.
There are many of us that have been impacted with Pahoa Road being closed.
Sure.
And I know that's not in your department, it's with county, state, federal, and all the other bureaucratic BS that goes with it, where we thought we'd have this road open 3 years ago.
Right.
So we can't get to our farms accurately, our homes, all that. So we're like refugees in a sense, but outside of that, I know that PGV was able to make your own roads right after the lava.
Yes.
Would there be any kind of consideration of creating some road system through your land that would allow an evacuation of people from Pahoa for that 1 mile that isn't working?
You know, so you are aware that when we did our road, we bulldozed a road for the folks to the east of us, right? So we opened that up because it takes forever for the county took some time, not forever, but took some time to rebuild the Kapoho Road. And so the county is taking, I understand, much longer to do Pohoiki Road, right? But to go through our property and escape and all that, we haven't, going through our location is a big liability concern, right?
Yeah, that's where the
part
gas
of
would
the
be coming
triangle.
from, I guess we don't want to.
But, I mean, we definitely look at that. I mean, I appreciate that, yeah, I appreciate that.
And we're angry and we're sad and
Yeah.
we're frustrated, but.
That's a good
there might be an
question.
out-of-the-box solution.
That's a great question, and I'm sorry, and forgive me, but I forgot your name. George.
I would like to answer if we have.
Oh, there we go.
Go ahead, stand up.
Jennifer.
How do we get roads? So first off, the delays that we saw from the roads to begin with were geologic delays. In order for us to put in roads, there are certain things we have to do in order to use the funding for us to put in roads to begin with. Geologic delays. Oh, thank you.
Don't start talking.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. Do you want me to start over?
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to delays for the roads,
Still, you know.
I'm so sorry, it is quite muffled. You can take 6 feet back if you'd like.
Okay.
If you're comfortable with that.
so first and foremost, the delays came from the fact that there are geologic delays. When we say geologic delays, that means that the ground was still hot. For those of you who have traveled out to places like Four Corners, I mean, there are places you can't even park your car still for long periods of time because the roads are still extremely hot. For the things that we need to do to get through the areas to put the roads in, we have to do environmental assessments. You can't just go in and bulldoze a road unless you have an emergency order, which we had time for, but unfortunately because of the roads being too hot, you can't get through those areas to bulldoze. And by the time it was time for us to do the environmental assessment, which is now, things have cooled off substantially, and now we're finally able to get into those areas. So that's why
It's still an emergency though, why is it?
we are not the people that set those rules. It's FEMA that does so. So we have.
They're the emergency management agency. But
Correct.
they won't give us an emergency road.
I will say that there are some unique circumstances here.
Can you explain those?
Absolutely, I would love to. So in terms of unique circumstances, when FEMA deals with emergencies, which happen all the time, we all watch the news, we see the floods, we see earthquakes, we see all sorts of different things. These are the kind of things that happen, they move through a city and then they're gone. That did not happen here. We all know that. When the volcano happened, it erupted for 4 months. Then we had roadways that were hot for years, and there are places from eruptions 30 years ago that are still hot. It takes time, and we know we're using the same roads you are. I live in Leilani. We're frustrated too, but there are procedures that have to be followed in order for us to access the funds that allow us to make those roads, allow us to make sure that we're doing it in the proper way, so that we're not disturbing anything cultural, the important cultural sites. So we are connecting sites. We have different areas that need to be maintained in between the sites that are completely inundated. So connecting these patchwork of roads, it's.
Can the county somehow reimburse all the thousands of residents that now have to drive an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the afternoon to get their kids to school when it used to be 7 minutes?
We're doing the best we can to expedite this process. We're on.
Should be reimbursed gas every second day, or maintenance for our vehicles that used to be brand new $40,000 trucks.
Vehicle Road every day?
Yeah,
It is
13
And down?
ridiculous.
And then you're trying to get fishermen down there now with the new
Just
thing?
to get to Pahoa.
Did you guys go through the meeting last night?
Yes.
With the boat? Wasn't that?
Were you able to talk to?
No, I'm gonna do it for you. I wanna know how come the county and the state has all this money for shiny, glossy, things, big parties, and we can't get a road, but Harry Kim can put a damn road over
Mackenzie
Mackenzie in a
road
few
quick.
months.
Mackenzie, you guys put one, FEMA
Yeah,
put
it's
one
just
so
bullshit.
quick, PG, we got one so quick,
I know.
we just need a
PG
road.
just got.
We are in an emergency.
Real quick, so in order to build a road, you had to do an environmental impact study.
Correct.
But for them to do geothermal drilling, they don't have to do
Right,
an
right,
environmental.
Yeah,
Those
what's
are-
up with that?
So the county can't even build a road without doing one.
But you can let them go
But-
geothermal.
Because the governor declared a special state of emergency
Because
for
of COVID.
PGV in
COVID.
December 2019. They got all their permits from DLNR,
So has
DOH,
the
EPA,
process
everybody,
Who does the government represent?
without public
People.
input.
I'm sorry?
Who does the government represent?
The people, and we're doing the.
What people? Not us.
So what-
Go to,
But what process needs to happen at this point today to get a road built from the county, knowing that FEMA's in charge? What does the county or the government have to do to make that request expedited?
You know-
Because there are there are circumstances in which
Life and
it
death.
becomes
It's life and
an
death,
emergency.
yeah.
So what are those procedures and where are you at with those procedures?
The procedures,
Negligent homicide for the county as
Hold
well.
on, we're trying to get
Many
some
of us
sound, we're
die.
trying to get some sound bites, yeah.
It's the truth, bro.
I know, but
We
let's
die.
give-
We're
give
gonna
Jennifer,
die.
let Jennifer.
guys,
We're gonna die. There's no
I'm here
road.
to answer questions. I'm gonna take the time to answer everybody's questions. And most importantly, for those of you who either don't have the time to do so, don't want to ask them right now, I'm going to connect with Mike and make sure that you guys have access to my email address. My email address at the county is Jennifer, JENNIFER, period, Myers, MYERS, only one E, at hawaiicounty.gov. And for any of the questions that I'm not able to answer today,
Yeah,
I'm,
and I'd really like to answer this question, because we came from Oahu, so we have
Oh,
some questions.
great,
Thank
yeah.
you. So what steps are being taken now to get a road, knowing that the county and the government, it's not within their jurisdiction now? So the FEMA is the one who has the full jurisdiction of whether or not roads get put in, is that correct?
FEMA controls the procedure and the timeline for us. So
Why is
what-
that?
That's because they're the ones that give us access to the monies.
How do you override FEMA knowing that FEMA doesn't have the current timelines and the impact information? How does the county step in and say, we need a road now? How does that happen?
We have calls with FEMA on regular basis
Do
where
they
we
answer your calls?
Ma'am, I would love to answer your question.
That's it. It's
We
fine.
have regular calls where we are in constant contact with folks from FEMA where we are saying exactly the same
And are
things
they
you guys are
responsive?
saying. We are saying things like, we want to get roads in for our people as soon as possible. We know that there are procedures. We know that there are things that have to happen before we put these roadways in. And we understand, I'm so close to being finished, I promise.
are they
So what we're doing here is when we're in contact with FEMA with these things, they say to us things like, these are the procedures that have to be followed for you guys to have access to that money. We have to follow those procedures in order to access those money, in order to put in the roads.
Does the city or the government or the state have their own funds that they can draw from to create their own roads now?
We have funding, but that funding is not on anywhere near the scale of FEMA funding.
So how do we get representation to let them know that we need to have more funding from different avenues? Because in a state of an emergency, that's what a governing system does, is they find other resources and
Harry
other
Kim did that. We
ways.
cleared that road all the way to Pahoa.
And there are
Ugly road, but it gets us through there.
Because sometimes if you can redirect the public to other avenues, then that will draw away some attention and some issues that you're going through. Because if the lines that you have connected are not working, then other lines need to be opened, and you need to tell the people what those lines are so that we can go different avenues.
And we are evaluating other options for us.
What are
Please
those
keep
other
in mind,
options?
please keep in mind that it's about the depth of the lava as well. An area of lava of inundation that's 80 foot thick is much, much hotter than an area of inundation
You
that
said
is
that it was
10,
cool though now,
10
right?
feet. It is not cool now. No one who's been out in these areas knows that the lava is cool. It rained cats and dogs today, and anyone out there knows that the steam is still happening, and steam happens because not just the top area.
One corner is the same way. Every time it
If
rains
there's-
big, it's steam.
There are
So
thresholds.
There's no sufficient funds available at this point to start any roads or any access points for any of the areas that are impacted. That's what you're saying.
I
There's
bet
no
you if
resources.
this would have happened in Hilo or Kona,
Either way,
Or Waikoloa,
Yeah.
Waikoloa, yeah,
Is
Waikoloa.
that the case though? There's
They
no.
gotta-
funds.
So what I was saying earlier, and this is such an important part for FEMA, FEMA is used to dealing with disasters that come and go. A flood that comes and goes, it takes 2 hours, 4 hours to come in, wipe out an area, a city, and a county, and then it's done. This is a different situation, and unfortunately, there need to be better things in place for us to help get roads in a timely manner. I promise you, we were having these discussions with FEMA, trying.
No evacuation routes.
people out.
Please note, that's a great question. Ma'am, is it Sarah? Sarah, that's a great question. And when I started working for the county, which by the way was 2.5 months ago, so bear with me here. 2.5 months ago when I joined the county, I had that same question. Because my thought is, if you have $108 million to buy people out, why can't you use that money for the roads? And the thing is that these monies, think of it like buckets. Each amount of money that we get comes in a bucket, and these buckets have rules. So this FEMA bucket for the $108 million for the housing buyout program, which by the way is going to do amazing things for the people that need it. And it serves 70% of the people that this money is serving are LMI. Does everybody know what LMI is? It's low to moderate income. These are the people that need it the most. The people that lost their primary homes that were living out of shipping containers. So here's the thing. Please, I'm really here to, I just want to finish this thought, please. These buckets are earmarked for certain things. So you have a bucket for roads, you have a bucket for houses, you have a bucket for water. You cannot take money, you can't take water from one bucket and put it into another, because if you do, all buckets are done, you don't get access, and it's over. We have to be so careful with this money, you guys, because if we lose one bucket, we could lose others. And so we have to follow these procedures. We have to go through the environmental assessments. We have to go through procurement. We have to go through design phases, grading, all these things that until I started working for the county, my thought was the exact same as you guys, which was put the road in. But when you start learning about all these things that have to happen in order to access these monies, the monies that are going to get these roadways in, the things step-by-step procedures that get you from point A to point B, you have to do it correctly or else everything falls away. And please know I wish you guys could see the people that I work with that are literally in there in the office before 8 o'clock every morning, and most of them stay after the time that the office is closed trying to get these things done for you guys, because we live in your communities, we want the roads in. Please know we are trying, but we are stuck between a rock and a hard place of the rules put in place by FEMA, wanting to get the roads in, but wanting to do them in a way that makes sure that we still have access to the funds that are going to put them in there in the first place.
Hi, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Maybe the stalemate could be bypassed, the governor himself, since he can declare a state of emergency.
Okay.
Say we have a state of emergency.
We do. We
If
actually
we have
did
the
it.
PGD blowing up,
Life
thousands
and
of
death.
people are going to die.
60,000.
So can we just say
We all need
the
to
governor
complain to
contacts
FEMA, like
60,000.
everyone today, right?
Was it George? George, great question. I love it. What I want to do is I want to ask that question myself, and that's what I'm going to do tomorrow morning when I get back into work, is I want to ask that question to the people that know the answers that I don't know, and I want to get the answer. And when I do know it, I will be here again in 3 months, quarterly. I will be here in 3 months. And if you guys see me at the grocery store before then, if you see me at the beach, if you see me, at the market, come ask me. I'm so easy to identify. I'm 6 feet tall with big hair. Just come find me.
Please tell your superiors too to figure out like what the role of government is if it's not to support the people.
Tell them to come down to Poiki Road.
I don't know anybody that I work with in the government that does not have that in their heart, that they're all there trying to be. I can't speak for those people, but I can speak for my office and everyone I work with.
Help us by talking to the government and tell them about the evacuation route in the Puna Triangle. We did, literally did.
I'm gonna talk, I promise.
I live on the north side of the plant. The wind usually blows about 75% from the north. So Kalapana gets their fumes all the time.
Makes sense that's what the way that the wind blows. I can't speak to what.
So the Puna Triangle, the safest place for me to be when the gas is coming towards my house on the north side of PGB is going down Highway 137, which has 80 foot of lava, you said. And then to go to Kalapana, to go upwind of for the only possible chance to get out of there.
So,
and it's not even open.
So what I'm hearing from you is you want more roads, you want emergency access.
One road. We have it.
I get it. Please know, I'm here. I drive those roads, I get it. I want more access too. I want more access, I want more emergency roads. I want to ask. Absolutely, I drive all these roads. I'm here. I'm down to Pohoiki. We're working with the lineal descendants at Pohoiki.
Now every day out by the driveway, but I don't see no one working. I just see county people just hanging out.
They've been surveying the lower part for.
But
I got to see those. I got to see the archaeologists do their work. It was really fascinating. But the thing is if you didn't know what you were looking at, you wouldn't know what to look for.
All right, John has a question for Jennifer.
Yes, John.
It's not a question.
Or comment.
I would point out to you that Alaska had similar volcanic problems, and their way of addressing that was to basically lay out a steel trestle over the hot spots.
Interesting.
And
bridges,
they are removable, and they do have a 10,000 GVW load limit, but they have them, and they obviously have used them repeatedly to accomplish the end. And our distances are way smaller than anything they were doing.
So John, I'll ask. I'll ask.
Well, no, you can go online and get the video.
Right. But I'm going to ask the people that are making these decisions why we're using the things that we're using, if this is a possibility. And if it is, I want to know what the reasons why we're not using it. So I'm going to ask those questions.
They're making a bridge over there at the Kole Kole Park, a bridge to go over the water. Could make one over the lava, the hot lava.
I will ask these questions. I promise. I promise you, all of you, I will ask these questions.
Are you coming to the next one?
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to make this a point for all of you to be able to have a connection to the people that and to get these questions answered. I don't want you guys to go home feeling like no one was listening. I don't want that.
You know, we have an emergency. Someone's going to die. It takes an hour and a half to get to the hospital.
Involuntary
My daughter is breathing
manslaughter is what
machine
it's
from
gonna
the
be.
doctor from when she smells the geothermal.
John, you had one more thing?
We're going to die trying to get out of our place.
On the issue of the hazardous chemicals that are going down to your facility, I find them mixed up with the school buses in the morning.
Which hazardous?
Well, I think the one I was stuck behind the last time had pentate in it.
Okay.
And we could see how that could go really, really bad.
It's not much different than hauling unleaded fuel to the gas stations.
Yeah, but not nearly in the volume. Or the.
All we get is 5,000 gallons. I bet you those fuel tankers are 10,000 and more.
Yeah, but they're not taking 10,000 gallons to Paul's service station.
I see the double trailers there. But I hear you.
Yeah. So,
Thanks,
I
Tom.
mean, you know, if something goes wrong, I made my statement, and now you got the ball.
Yes, and you're on recording. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, John. Thanks.
Okay, like, years ago, you were having meetings about the drilling a new well. And back then, you were saying that the facility was producing 20, is it megawatts or?
Megawatts.
Yeah, 20 megawatts. You know, you were down to 20 megawatts, and you needed that new well to get back up to, you know, your expected, production. And when you were done with that well, you said that the well was unproductive, but you were able to make up for it. But you were very unspecific about what you did to make up that big difference. And I'm just wondering whether you could be more specific, since we had a volcanic eruption that affected so many people's lives in the interim.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think it would make people feel better if you would explain exactly what happened there.
So when you're saying around 20 megawatts, was that like on the virtual meetings that we were holding?
No, it wasn't a virtual meeting, it was right here.
Oh, that was some time ago then, before 2020.
Some time ago. Probably
So
2017.
the usual solution is to drill more wells. So if we're below our contractual output, then we need a new geothermal well. That's probably what had happened.
No, that's not what happened. You said that well, you drilled a new well, you said it was unproductive.
Okay.
But, you know, you were not specific about what happened.
You mean they were gonna stimulate it?
So what we will do, like in
Find the fracture point.
just like what we're doing today, right? We're drilling KS-19. If KS-19 does not deliver the amount of resource that we need to get to contract, we're going to drill another one. So what probably happened is that if that well was not, and unless you tell me the exact dates, which I can go look up, if that well was not productive to the point to get us back to contract, then we would have drilled another well. Miss?
Sometimes do your drills have a hard time getting through the rock, and if they do you use explosives?
What do you use?
We use the drill bit.
How about scalar technology?
I'm not familiar with scalar.
That's what I was researching. Using two different vibrations to create a turd that cracks lava?
We don't do that. We do
A lot of vibrations coming
we do conventional drilling. Conventional, it's just with the drill bit. 24/7, Rocky.
You guys don't have to obey the drilling nighttime?
Miss and the teal.
I just wanted to make a suggestion, I don't know.
Yeah?
I know it's hurricane season again.
Yes.
We're all probably getting a little nervous about the one Darby, but it's.
I'm nervous about
Is there any way that, people like ourselves who live close to and can't get out, that maybe they can provide the mask that, like, my daughter was doing photography during the eruption, and she had a hazmat as her, mask. And she could go there and be next to the lava and not have to have the sulfur, gases. What if they would provide like a mask? At least we'd have something at home that, we could carry with us and we could, protect ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that something that the county
Did,
some air monitors.
I can follow.
Air quality monitors.
I can look into that. Did you sign in?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, sign in and put on a little note there, masks. Then I'll know. Yeah, I can follow up on my side. Maybe Jennifer can also.
My daughter can survive out there with all the news crew.
Yep.
What about like personal air quality monitors for
So,
the community too?
listen, civil defense and the fire guys, they have an array of equipment.
But they won't answer me.
They don't
I've been
go out to
trying
Pahoa.
these
It's
guys
25 miles to
every
go.
day.
They don't go there.
Okay.
Down that hill.
I'll
Is that the best
I'm
route?
not trying to be a
Concerns is the
biatch,
best route to
I'm
go to the
saying.
defense department.
Yeah,
The
civil
Department of
defense.
Health, that's-
Yeah,
so
and
civil
and Department of Health.
So Department of Health
And civil defense.
Is there
What
anyone
if
else
they
that should be
ignore?
contacted with the complaints that you're hearing that we can't do anything about currently?
Those two are the primary folks that I'd go to.
And are there primary departments within those departments that need to be contacted?
No? No, the Department of Health is the air branch, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if they don't respond? And what if they just simply act like you don't
Jagged
exist?
feet, giant.
September 29th, I've been writing these
we're gonna
people
get more
every
people
day.
Yeah.
Is
You gotta
PGB
you
aware
gotta
of,
keep calling their numbers and leaving
I
messages
know.
because they
I
is
will
don't.
never
PGB aware
stop.
of the great crack
I'm asking
or any
him,
of
where
that
else do we
surrounding
go
landmass
if civil
around that?
defense
Where, Ka'u?
and whatever
down
else
near
you just
Pahoa?
said, just
That's
ignore
Ka'u.
you. Don't
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, we are familiar with the
We
Great
gotta
Crack.
ask
You are,
there.
so do you monitor that? It's
No,
monitored?
USGS would do that
Okay,
because that's
so-
all national park, yeah.
Okay, so they would be the ones to report if there's
Yeah.
something going on.
Yeah, national park, and so USGS.
And then they would then report to you?
Nobody reports to us. We're like a private industry.
But I
yeah.
mean, if there was something going on as far as.
So,
like,
yeah,
activity, then
like-
they would go through.
exactly.
obviously Let the public know as well. so
Like
that-
2018, when the lava was coming down from Kilauea, they informed us.
You didn't inform them?
No, they informed us.
Just checking.
Because, yeah, no,
Just checking.
they are the experts.
Just wondering who knew about it first.
Yeah, USGS.
They're the experts.
Well, they're more expert than we are.
They don't know anything about putting
Yeah,
water
looking at
into
my feet
erupting
on my
fissures
street
during
when I
a
was born
lava
and raised on, I
thing.
Listen,
Mike,
I'm not a
let
scientist.
Larry ask a question.
I've read Larry's things and your stuff, okay? And I appreciate that, and I respect you guys' position. But I'm not expert USGS or volcanologist, so that's the folks we
Yeah, but
turn
your
to.
emergency response plan says in the case of a lava flow, if the ambient temperature, if the wellhead pressure gets to ambient, then you might quench it. What's ambient pressure, like 20 pounds or something?
No, ambient is out here, it's zero, right?
Zero. So
Yeah.
did your wells get to be zero?
After we flowed water in, we did.
But then the next day you opened the well and the water was gone?
Miss,
I have one question.
yeah, and listen, just FYI, we're gonna be closing down on our meeting in about 5 minutes. But email, phone, whatever, we're still accessible. Jennifer, myself, Kevin, and yes, go ahead.
On your plant area.
Yes.
I see steam coming up. Is that from the fissures or is that from?
Those are from the fissures. The fissures are like immediately south of us, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's.
Next time I'll bring pictures so you can see them.
Yeah, but doesn't everything fracture at an angle right along there in it goes and it doesn't just break straight down straight, it breaks, it goes at an angle.
Oh, we haven't
Faults that are.
haven't seen any evidence that we're connected to the fissures. So, sir,
I just bought land in Pahoa.
you just bought land, okay?
And my question is what to me, this extreme light pollution at night, is that a temporary thing or is it always like that?
If you tell me what your physical location is and which direction you're looking at, I can let you know if the lighting is from us. Now, the county has lighting ordinance requirements. We got to get the low sodium yellow stuff because we're worried about the birds that fly at night, right? And we're worried in general. So,
Those are mercury, right?
hey, Rocky,
They are mercury,
that's
yeah.
a trick question.
Oh,
No, it's non-hazardous. We switched. We got the environmental friendly one.
They weren't too friendly for
But-
the people walking at night, though.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Is that light always going to be like this?
Well, if it's the plant, yes, the plant generates electricity 24/7. But I'm not.
You need all the lights on that tower. Why do you need that? Like,
Oh, maybe. I don't. If maybe you're talking about a rig or maybe there's a communications tower, but something like that is an FAA requirement. We don't want no airplanes like flying into it.
but can't just like a little red beeper thing be enough, like most cell towers?
It does have.
Yeah, I mean, probably, but it's a FAA requirement, so I don't know what the details.
No, the red.
I'm not even certain. Rocky, why are you always interrupting? Jeez, come on, Rocky.
Come on, brother, tell the truth.
I am telling the truth.
Tell the truth, an honest.
I'm honest.
That's all we want.
Look in my eyes. I'm honest, brother.
Honest, it's not.
So I'm not certain that it's PGV, but if it is PGV, we're on 24/7. So the lights will stay on all night. So I don't know which tower you're referring to because there's a couple towers.
His land is about a quarter mile past Canalo Street.
You can see it looking up on the finger.
Okay. So if you're a quarter mile past Hinalo, it's probably our drill rig. Yeah. So the good news is it's going to go away eventually
Oh, because it's a drill rig light.
after we're done drilling.
Oh, and then it'll go away.
Then we lower the rig.
This is relatively temporary.
Temporary. Yeah. What's your name?
Morgan.
Morgan. Nice to meet you. Okay, this last question. That's going to be recorded.
What's the plans for the undersea?
Ooh, wait, this lady.
I didn't hear.
Oh, you thought that was up for grabs?
I know there was like a moratorium on like drilling at night, but you're still drilling at night.
So there was a county initiative to ban drilling at night, but that didn't go through because at the county level it went through, but the result is that the state laws preempts the county ordinance. So the state trumps the county.
Yeah, but the county, we should be able to make a restrictor ordinance, and that should not trump. That is
So-
just, you guys just don't want to obey. it. You say
Listen,
it doesn't apply to.
we have reasons why, see what you started into. It's a very good question, but for us, yeah. Oh. Could be.
Blow in a different wave.
But listen, it is a safety concern to stop drilling every night, especially when you're getting close to the resource. Because when you get to the resource, we have to have all of our equipment in operating condition, flowing water, making sure if we encounter pressure that we're ready for it. To come out every night and not know what's going on, open it back up, go back in, is more of a hazard than continuing throughout the night.
Starting and stopping is hard on the system.
That's true. Starting or stopping of any system is generally no good.
Monitors, right?
For
No monitors for earthquakes.
For anything,
Oh.
for our health, for our safety.
we got all that. We went over that.
But there's
Thank you guys all for coming out tonight. PGV appreciate you guys, and hey, we're going to be on the website. You guys can get in touch with me by email, everything.